Yeah, let's run up to the hospital, man.
I'm gonna keep kind of getting that. I just want him to see what.
In this video, we're gonna talk about a pheasant painting I've got going on and how I got this really awesome shine around my eye. So, fun story about how my life as an artist and a dad overlap and how I prepare for a wildlife art show. So the last time I painted pheasants at a large scale for SeaWee was 2023 when I was the featured artist. I was sitting here thinking about what I'm gonna say, and the only thing I could think about is 10 years ago, Kim and I walked into this ballroom for the very first time. We exhibited right here next to Jim and Karen Killen back in the day, and it is surreal to be here up on stage when we watched this for 10 years in a row. And as the featured artist, you are asked to come up with one big central piece that gets auctioned off the night of the black tie event.
$19,500 sold it. $19,500 right there for $19,500.
And that piece serves as the marketing for all of the show. So it goes on everything from wine bottles and billboards to bags and tickets, program covers, everything. So that's a really big central piece, and it did really well. It was well received. So I thought this year I would add some pheasants to my repertoire, to my lineup. And one thing I wanted to do is make sure it's an action-filled scene like the previous one. Previous one had 2 roosters and a hen, and this one is gonna have similar kind of a blue sky, but 3 roosters flushing together over a cornfield. And I thought it'd be cool to put a windmill in the background to kind of anchor it on the backside and provide some interest and tell a little bit more of a story here. So that's how the idea for this composition came up. So I'm about to start day 2 on this one, and I always like to sort of critique things before I get going. First off, this is going to be a really awesome piece when we start popping color on because of the color in the pheasant's head. What I'm really looking forward to is the contrast of this rusty old windmill with the blue sky behind it. That should really be awesome, I think. I've laid it in dark so I can pop highlights. There's a couple things I'm just not sure are correct. I think I'm gonna have to shorten these 2. They look a little bit too long. And what's gonna be awesome is I can take the color, the red and oranges, and work that into the rust. Take the color from the pheasant's breast, work it into the rust here. So I think this is gonna be a really nice complement that sets this piece off. As far as pheasants, they're gonna be really strong. I changed the light source a lot, and add a little bit more contrast to them. So I think this is gonna be a really good piece. Time for color. So, little mid-painting update. We had an adventure last night, and I took a baseball right to the eye. I absolutely love coaching my kids. Rhett's 8, Brooklyn's 5, and I've coached everything.
Good job, Harper!
Oh, pass play.
Pass right side.
T-ball, baseball, basketball, football, all of it. I love it, love being a part of it and playing with them outside of that. And it's January, we've got baseball coming up, but it's super cold here in Boone. It's like 3 degrees. So I took Rhett to an indoor facility where I could throw him some batting practice after I left the studio yesterday. And, you know, we warmed up, hit off the tee, got in the cage, and I started throwing to him. And I think our first half a bucket of balls, I gave him one right down the middle, and he sent it right back up the middle. And I just remember hearing the crack of the bat and knew it was solid and looked up, and that baseball was right here. And I took it right on the eye. And you know, we're getting past that like little kid stage where you're just kind of throwing to them and they're hitting. Now there's some pop on the ball. And I wasn't ready for that any more than he was. And it knocked me to my feet. I knew I was bleeding bad. I knew we were gonna have to have stitches probably. So, you know, we packed up. The hospital was only a half mile away, so we drove over there. He went with me and was kind of along for the whole ride. Got 3 stitches and then came home. So, little swollen today, kind of black and blue and kind of painful, but I've got to keep going on this one. We've got Seaweed coming up. And in about 3 weeks, Southeastern Wildlife Expo, and this is gonna be one of my bigger pieces for that show. So I gotta keep going on this, and then I've got one more to do after that. So, popped a bunch of ibuprofen, gonna try to keep the headache away and take this one down the home stretch. Overall, I'm happy with these birds. There's a few nitpicky things and highlights I'm gonna pop. The biggest thing I'm gonna do today though is change the angle of his ring on his neck. As you can see, these other two, they're like a half moon shape. They follow the contour of the head and kind of tell that story, but this guy's backwards though. The feathers come this way, but his ring comes this way. So I'm gonna line those up to be more parallel in the same direction and help tell the story of his direction of flight a little bit better. All right, so one super important aspect of the painting is the frame. And we've got a bunch of my art ready to go, lined out for Seaweed, and we're kind of looking at moldings and frames. I really like those elk in that gold. I like the pheasants here. I like this frame a lot. It'll be a good centerpiece for us. Currently, I think the painting looks a little bit better in some of these more rustic wood frames because of the color. But we really like this frame, and so what I'm gonna do is go back in, put the whole thing back on the easel and add bits of color into the piece that match the frame. All right, so while I've got this one in my studio, all I'm really gonna do is mix a gold color that's about the same value as some of these other colors in here and just add bits and pieces of that to the canvas, especially right here. These the side feathers on that pheasant are a really good sort of a bright golden color, and that's a great example where I can go in here and match this to this and tie the whole piece together.